evening, Malcolm. How are you?
Good evening. I'm slightly sweaty. I've just come off the stage, but I'm feeling great. I've done my ablutions, my coffee enemas, my meditations, my abstentions, etc. So I'm really great.
Excellent. Is that what you do before you get on stage or after stage?
I'm an extreme sports kind of guy, so I do. Yes, I'm a kind of been practicing meditation, transcendental meditation for many years, and just always exploring. I do have a shadow side. We've all got a shadow side, right? But I've worked on keeping it at bay as much as possible, or accepting it. I don't know which one. But yeah, I guess people that read Blues Matters will understand. You know, my dad being Jack Bruce, I was around a lot of crazy stuff. You know, it's like Pete Brown's wonderful lyric in Theme for an Imaginary Western. It was like the Wild West. Those guys, those original guys in the rock pantheon were kind of trailblazers, and they paid the price for that in many ways. And so I think we can learn from that. And as I say, meditate. Maybe the occasional glass of red wine once or twice a year. I don't know. I mean, look, anyway, it's a whole other thing, isn't it?
Anyway, you've just come off stage. How did you feel the atmosphere was?
It was great. Unfortunately, our bass player was sick. So we had Cy Davis, the wonderful Cy from another band playing tonight. He agreed to jump on the stage without any rehearsal and play, and he did an amazing job. So I was a little bit, you know, when in those kinds of situations, you just kind of have to go for it. But he's a wonderful musician. So yeah, it was great. We had some fun. I'm sweating. We also have a drummer that I've worked with quite a lot, bits and pieces over the years, but I'd love to do more with. He's called Jeff Holroyd. He's the drummer in a band called Feeder, but he's played with all kinds of people. We were talking the other day about he did a 6-week tour with Chrissy Hind in America, and he's played with Robbie, and he's played with et cetera, et cetera. So, but wonderful musician, wonderful person. So we've just been doing a few shows recently. So he might, if I can twist his arm, he might stick around. He's wonderful. So yeah, we had some fun.
And what kind of gigs do you like? You like festivals or intimate?
You know, this is interesting because I think as musicians, we just love to perform. Some of the best gigs. The other night I played in Peter Barton's place, Barn Aldswick Music and Arts Centre. And that's a good example. It's like a 60 capacity, tiny little place, but it's so special that it's almost better than a 2,000 seat theatre. You know, bigger rooms have that energy, but the intimate thing is wonderful because you literally kind of can have a conversation with the guy sitting there. You know? So I'm not sure I can answer which I prefer. I think that they all have a kind of different feel.
Well, you meet other bands when you're at festivals as well. You're old friends.
Well, I did. We're eating dinner with Ian Siegel and Jeff and Ronnie and Sam Kelly turns up, and I haven't seen him in 10 years, but I did a show with a friend of mine called Saichi, who's a Japanese guitarist and lawyer. Wonderful guy. So we did a gig in Oxford at the Bullingdon, and this is like 10 years ago, and I haven't seen him since then. So yes, you turn up to these things and it's like, Sam, hey, how are you?
And what projects have you got on?
Well, okay, so I'm pending our work visas to America. We start a tour with Sons of Cream on the 28th of this month. We've got a 28 tour over 6 weeks across America, a kind of big counterclockwise. Sorry. So that's kind of, you know, we're developing that project. We've got a little deal with Marshall Records, Terry Marshall's label affiliated with Marshall Amps. So we're just putting the finishing touches to that record. So that should be out quite soon, maybe a series of singles, etc. So that's really exciting. It's myself, Kofi Baker, and his nephew, Rob Johnson. So we put that together. And it's just a wonderful thing because it's like our heritage, but I came up with this idea to call the album Half and Half, play on the milk cream angle. So the record is 6 cream covers and 6 original songs. And it's not a blues record in the same way that I wouldn't ever call Cream a blues band, although there was so much more than that, I think. But of course, the blues was a huge part of it. It's a huge part of everything. I mean, Stravinsky studied the blues, you know.
Right.
It's not all of this is interesting. As we progress, we start to generally realize things like the blues are just as articulate, just as refined and nuanced as any other form of music. And I think we're emerging from imperialism, whatever you want to call it, colonialism, where we felt somehow that we were superior, our art forms were superior. And now, you know, we're moving into a different world where we can appreciate everything. And all of these things are really important. So I think my dad and Ginger, especially, Eric was a pure student of the blues, but my dad and Ginger had much more of a kind of education in the art of music, a much broader idea. But then when the three of them came together, they did this magical thing that has elements of the blues, but it's everything else. So, hopefully with the Sons of Cream, we can pay homage to that, but also kind of be ourselves as well. So I've got that going on. I'm still working on my 2 solo records to come out this year, hopefully. One which is more like a blues kind of record, and one which is more like a rock concept album called Fake Humans and Real Dolls. If anybody's noticed, we have a lot of fake humans around at the moment.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, well,
tell us more about that.
Well, I'm just really interested. I think we're kind of sleepwalking into a new paradigm. And I think, why should people care about stuff? I mean, look, normal people that are just decent people should want, they should be able to live their lives, make a living, have somewhere decent to live, care about their family. And we're all just, maybe the older generations, they are able to do that because they established it. But successively, it seems like there's a kind of lack of balance in the world. And then on top of that, AI is coming, robotics is coming, transhumanism, which is the next stage when you start implanting chips in brains and people can control the computer through thought. All of this is possible now, so it's just a question of time. And then the next stage will be, well, maybe we don't need the normal humans anymore. They've got neuroses, they argue. Let's get rid of them. Let's have an elite. And then we'll just have like AI and transhumans kind of, doing all the heavy lifting. And, if you're a psychotic person who happens to be in control of something, you might think like that, from your gated community. I think these things are worth it. I don't hate anybody. I'm not blaming anybody because it's not about any specific person. It's just, maybe it's part of our evolution, and I think it's just really interesting for me to explore these ideas with words, lyrics, to try and kind of figure out for myself what I think.
Do you find that happening in music at all?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, the AI thing is, I don't know whether you see Rick Beato, who has a great YouTube channel. He's one of the top people that's kind of been starting to talk about these things. And yeah, I mean, there was a band that didn't they get to #1 in America, but they didn't exist. And it's so good. I mean, I heard something the other day, a vocalist that literally could sing anything, any range, and it was insane, but it's not a human. And the fragility of human creative expression is something wonderful because, again, this is one of the things I'm thinking about with this record. We have the quantum level of reality and humans are connected to that. That's what religions call spirit. And so can AI connect to that infinite source of beauty and energy and expression that, even in the simplest note that somebody plays, the way they play it, the way they phrase, the way they use vibrato, the way that person, that unique fingerprint is, can AI, I suppose AI can mimic it, but to what extent? I mean, obviously it's just moving so quickly, but I would like to think that humans have this divine connection. Doesn't matter what tradition we're from, or it doesn't have to be religious. It could just be sitting and experiencing that expansive state. Everybody has their own kind of way of getting to it. Maybe people like walking, or they like in the woods, or they like swimming, or making love. Or can AI make love to another? And what does that mean? Now it's getting kinky.
Yeah. Well, I think we better stop it.
Yeah, please.